All right, so I'm watching this YouTube channel called God's Voice today. I'll leave the link below. And this lady called Queen, that's what she goes by, or that's her name. She's giving her testimony on being brought to hell and God showing her like what happens to people that don't repent. She said there's a room full of people that are quote unquote Christians, but they're not living a Christian life, and all their clothes are covered in diamonds, but they're living in hell because they look perfect on the outside, but they're not living a godly or good life. That's why they say a lot of people believe in God, but the question is, are you living a godly life? That's the question. Like each day you wake up. So she's going to explain seeing Biggie in hell. She said she seen Pac for a split second, but she wasn't meant to see. And then she seen Michael Jackson, and how a lot of people don't know Michael Jackson was one of the strongest warlocks here on earth. And I've heard testimony from a lot of other quote unquote Satanists that says Michael was a high level warlock. He had a room full of mirrors, which he's said this in interviews, that he has a room full of mirrors, and he would go sit in this room and sit in front of these mirrors and get his song ideas. Also in his sleep, he would have them induce his sleep for him to stay in sleep longer to get a lot of his song ideas from the other realm, from the other side, from quote unquote demons. Like it's where you're getting a lot of these ideas from. Because a lot of people that live on this earth, they make these bargains with these entities that you don't really know the full ramifications of it, for riches, for fame, for monetary gain. But you have to exchange something in return. So she's gonna go in and explain some of it. So let me play this real quick.
And I was in this really, it was pitch black. I mean, if you put your hand up in front of your face, you couldn't see your hand because it was pitch black. And the Lord lightened up the area where we were, maybe 2 or 3 degrees, maybe. Um, Not really bright light, but just bright enough for me to see where I was. Well, it looked like the inside of a cave with black chunks of rock here. To the left was a jail cell. It was a caved out hole in the hill wall, but it had black bars, uh, vertical black bars, maybe 8 or 9 of them, and they were black about that thick. And there were 2 demons guarded in this cell. These demons were about 13 or 14 feet tall. They were pitch. The demons were darker than the darkness in hell. This is the craziest thing. And they had staffs. They had poles. And you couldn't tell that they were demons until they opened their eyes. Their pupils were white. But you could even tell that they were there because they blended in with the darkness. And they were guarding Biggie's cell. And in this cell, he was on fire. He had on a hospital gown, like we would wear here in the hospital. Like you would come to the hospital and be treated, and they would have you change your clothes and put you in a hospital gown, that type of hospital gown. And he was on fire, but the fire was coming from the inside of him. And he was just holding the bars. It was burning. And I'm standing there beside Jesus, and I asked Jesus, why is he here? And this is what Jesus said verbatim. It's on record in heaven. This man told me he didn't need me. This man believed he was a king. This man went to a fetish priest and got charms that he carried around in his pocket to become famous. He said, but mostly because he told me he didn't need me. And this man will be here throughout all of eternity. So after Jesus stopped speaking, one of the demons was speaking this language. It was ancient, but I had an idea what he said because of the actions of the other demon. The other demon opened the jail cell and got Biggie out of the jail cell, and a king's robe appeared out of nowhere, red and white king's robe. A golden crown appeared in his head, and they bound him hand and foot. And they took him and they put him in this machine. It's what I can't think of anything else to call it except a juicer. They put him in this juicer, and he felt, even though there are no bones in hell, one of the torments in hell is you still have the feeling of pain. You have the feeling that you have bones and ligaments and tendons, even though you don't, but you still have that feeling. That's one of the torments. And he felt the breaking of bones, the ripping of tissue, the ripping, the cracking of his skull. He felt it all. And he came out like a big mush of like ground up hamburger with bone and tissue and blood in it. And then his body came right back into place, back the same way it was before they put him in the juicer. They took him back and put him in that jail cell, and they shut the door. And when they shut the door, he exploded. I mean, it was as if somebody put a bomb in his chest, and he exploded on fire. And he started to scream.
You know, it's interesting. In his song, I just looked up one of these lyrics, 1994 song, Suicidal Thoughts, from Ready to Die, I guess the album. He did say, he says, when I die, he said a curse word, and says, I want to go to hell. He said it. That's where he wanted to go.
That's where he is.
Who else did you see there? So you saw Michael Jackson as well, and he was dancing, right?
Tupac and Biggie.
So Tupac was there. What did you, what was Tupac doing?
I didn't get to see him. You know how you glimpse at something and then it's gone? It wasn't meant for me to see his torment because I wasn't allowed to stand there longer than maybe a half a second. The one that God wanted me to see was Biggie. But Michael, Lord have mercy. All the dance moves Michael Jackson did, he got them from demons. And people do not know that Michael Jackson was a warlock. He was a witch, a warlock on the earth. People, they would not believe it. They wouldn't know it, but he was. He got all of his songs from demons. He got his dance move from demons. And in hell, the demons had whips and they were whooping him and beating him. And if he stopped dancing, every time he would stop dancing, pow, demon would hit him with a whip. If he stopped dancing, the demon would hit him with a whip. And that's what they're going to be doing to him for all eternity, and forcing him to dance without a break. And if he stops, they whip him and they beat him.